Never dig straight down is kind of like the first unofficial rule of Minecraft. I remember when I first started playing way back in 2011, that's pretty much the only advice that my friends gave me when it came to playing this game. And it's advice that I stick to even to this day. I mean, just doing this, the act of digging straight down makes me feel tense in my chest. I hate it. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to fall through into something bad. But the question is, how likely is it that something bad happens? I mean, it's definitely something that we can work out. We can do some tests, we can run some numbers, we can do some statistics, and we can come to a conclusion on a question that nobody was asking, which is, should you dig straight down in Minecraft? So let's talk through my method. I generated a brand new, completely normal Minecraft world, and then I got myself a random number generator. I set the range to be from 1 to 10,000, and I generated two random numbers. One of them would be my X coordinate, and one of them would be my Y coordinate. I then teleported to those coordinates in the game, went into spectator mode, and flew straight downwards to see if there was any hazards there. If there was a cave, I would take note of it. If there was a ravine, I would take note. An abandoned mine shaft, that would be noted, and also of course lava being the biggest hazard. I then did this 100 times over for all 100 different coordinates all within the same world, and I took note of every single thing that I ran into. And I gotta say, this really surprised me. The results caught me off guard. I mean, this whole video started off as just a really goofy idea. I thought, let's run with it, see what happens, and then as I started doing more and more testing, I actually began to get more and more curious as to the conclusion that I was going to draw from this experiment. Now, just as a quick note on the sample size, I am just one man, and this actually took slightly longer than I expected. If I had more time, or I was more than one man, then obviously I would have done a larger sample, but with 100 readings taken, I can say with 95% confidence that if you were to do this test yourself, your readings would come out within plus or minus 10% of my readings. And for those of you who don't care for all this statistics talk, that means that they're okay. It means they're good enough to draw general conclusions from. So, in this book right here, I have got all of the results. I forgot to save the book. That was a tiny bit embarrassing. Anyway, let's look at the new book here. If you dig straight down to y equals 11, the chances of you falling into a regular cave is 17%, which is actually quite high. Falling into an abandoned mine shaft is 6%. The chance of you falling into a water cave is 4%. The chance of you falling into a ravine is 3%. And the chance of you falling into lava is 8%. Which means that the chance of running into absolutely nothing is 62%. I mean, your chances are looking pretty good. 62% chance that you're not going to hit anything special when digging down to y equals 11 by digging straight downwards. And here are those results summarized in pie chart form, and that really hits home just quite how little the hazards actually are. I mean, if you even look at it, falling into a regular cave, that's not much of a hazard. An abandoned mine shaft isn't too difficult. The only ones that are true hazards, really, I would say, are the ravine and obviously lava. And that's only 11% in total. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to be absolutely fine. But what if you're not totally fine? What if you're one of the 8% of people that fall through into lava? Well, that's pretty unfortunate, but it doesn't all end there. Obviously, there are measures that you can take to protect yourself against that sort of thing. So let's run through the effectiveness of them. Yeah, that's right. I'm really going deep here. So let's get the obvious one out of the way, which of course is the fire resistance potion. Hopefully you can get that activated by the time that you reach the lava, but if you're wearing no armor, you gotta be quick on the keyboard. Because without armor, you have about 3 seconds until you burn to death in it. If you manage to get out of the lava, you're still going to be on fire. You're almost guaranteed to die, so just get your coordinates up and get as far away from the pool as possible. With full unenchanted diamond armor, you're a little bit better off, taking around about 12 seconds to actually kill you in the lava, but still, it's not looking good for you. With protection 4 on though, things are looking much better for you. You have about 34 seconds to actually get yourself out of the lava before the lava itself kills you. Obviously you'll still be on fire, but 34 seconds, I mean, what on earth? That is crazy. You could read a book in that time and then eventually hop out. Now with fire protection 4 on all of your armor, I mean, I genuinely thought something had broken on my game. I actually looked at my difficulty afterwards to make sure that I wasn't playing on peaceful difficulty and making myself look really daft, because I was in that lava for over 50 seconds. 50 seconds of sitting in lava before it kills you. I mean, can you remember back in the day when falling in lava was like the most terrifying thing in Minecraft? There's nothing more stressful than it. But now that I know I've got 50 seconds of chilling in it, I mean, it's not a big deal, is it? It's not a big deal in the slightest. Anyway, moving on from armor types now, other useful things to have in your inventory would of course be ender pearls. Just make sure that you use them effectively and don't do what I've just done. How has that even happened? If you manage to save yourself using chorus fruit, then yeah, you are a legend. I mean, I'll give you that, because you decided to carry chorus fruit with you, but it is a bit of a wild card. The water bucket is a more obvious choice, but it is incredibly effective. I mean, there's not much better than that, as long as you can find a place to put the water. If you can't, then you're kind of stuffed. For those of you who are really, really talented and also have an elytra and some rockets, then you might be able to pull off the spin around and shoot away. I mean, that... I don't know if I'd be able to do that, but for those of you with lightning fast reactions... that would be spectacular. So, I think that just about covers it. Just as a recap, we have covered the likelihood of you running into any hazards while digging straight down, and then we've also covered what to do if you do run into any hazards while digging straight down. So that's kind of all wrapped up in a nice little bow, but there's one thing that is kind of burning up inside of me. And that is why. Why would a person choose to dig straight down? And the only conclusion that I can draw from this is that it's for efficiency reasons. I mean, it makes sense. You're only mining out one set of blocks. So how much faster is digging straight down than more reasonable methods? As I say, yes, we're going deep on this one. Now, a few words on my testing process. What I'm doing is generating exactly the same world over and over again, and I'm starting off in exactly the same point on every single world. -31, 69 by -30. Then I'm timing how long it takes for us to go from this block right here all the way down to bedrock level and then back up to the top again. I have to have some way to come back up to the surface. Now for this, I'm using a regular unenchanted diamond pickaxe. Just to make it clear, I'm using the pickaxe for the mining part, not for the getting back up to the surface part. That made it sound like I've got some kind of rocket powered pickaxe. Anyway, the first test that we're starting off with is of course the test in question for today's video, which is mining straight down. And despite the fact that throughout this entire video I've been digging straight down, it still scares me. It still scares me watching me do this. Anyway, with our regular unenchanted diamond pickaxe, we managed to get from y = 70 all the way down to bedrock level within 1 minute and 12 seconds. All the way down to the bottom and back up to the top with ladders. I mean, there's no denying it's fast. It's definitely a very fast method of doing things. I mean, to put that into perspective, our next method is what I like to call the doubler, and this is my personal favourite, where you mine straight down, but you do it with 2 blocks, and you straddle between those blocks, meaning that you can mine downwards on one side without falling downwards, and then you take out the blocks that you're standing on. There's still a slight hazard involved, but it's nowhere near as dangerous as straight up, straight down in. Now this took 1 minute and 54 seconds to go from the surface all the way down to bedrock level, which is, yeah, I mean, it's 40 seconds slower than the slightly more risky method. But at 3 minutes and 33 seconds, I can tell you what, I'm not building stairs down to the bottom anymore. I mean, I don't even have stairs in place. That's me jumping up and down. It's terrible. I mean, I could have done it slightly faster if I was willing to hit my head every single time I go down the stairs, but anyone who's willing to hit their head every time they go down the stairs, I mean, they deserve to dig straight down, and they deserve to be one of the 8%. I know it sounds harsh, but it's true. Now, the final method that I wanted to try out that I was certain was going to beat digging straight down is the TNT dispenser. So up at the top, we place in a TNT dispenser, it shoots TNT downwards, creating a gigantic hole all the way down to bedrock. But here's the thing, the setup time is actually quite long, which meant that our overall time ended up being a rather disappointing 1 minute and 40 seconds. On top of that, it's also quite an expensive method, and there's no way to get back up to the top when you're down at the bottom, and there's no easy way to place a ladder, so it's kind of disqualified, but it looked cool, so I thought I'd include it in the video. Which brings me on to the long-awaited conclusion of today's video. Should you dig straight down in Minecraft? I mean, if we take a look at the facts, it's nowhere near as dangerous as I think a lot of us were expecting, and if you do fall foul to some of the danger, then there's plenty of ways to counteract it by wearing the correct armor, having the correct things in your inventory. It's actually relatively safe, the likelihood of dying is quite low, and then we've just discovered that it's by far the fastest way to go from world height all the way down to bedrock. So I guess the only conclusion that we can draw from today's video is that you still shouldn't do it, you psychopaths. Play Minecraft properly like the rest of us.